Hey guys, welcome back to H.B.I. Adventures. We're continuing with our initial setup of the Hangkai 12-horse two-stroke engine. So one thing to note that was something I had to figure out. So when you go to adjust your trim, you have your bar here, and if you go to pull it up, well, it's locked. But if you put it in forward, it'll release it so you can tilt your engine up. So it's just a quick note to figure out. It took me a little bit to figure it out, and it was just kind of driving me nuts. So just remember, when you want to do that, and if you put it back in neutral, it'll lock so it doesn't move. All right, we'll be back with in just a few minutes. All right, guys, something to think about with this motor. Your propeller, it's actually on a spline shaft, and again, as it comes from the factory, there's not a lot of grease in it. So one of the first things you want to do before you start getting the warm-up going and the initial setup, go through, pull the cotter pin, unscrew it, and put some grease in there. Otherwise, if not, over time in use, this will actually fuse onto the shaft. So we don't want to do that, because if we ever need to change the prop out for any reason, you wouldn't be able to get it off. So we'll take that off and we'll show you how to get it greased. All right, guys, so we took the cotter pin out, and now we have the castle nut, and it's a 17 millimeter nut. So we put it on there, and I kind of broke it free already, but then you just use that to take that castle nut off. And then we'll get see, nice castle nut. Got your bolt with your hole in it, and now you want to make sure you watch for that washer, and your prop should slide right off. So as we can see, it's a spline shaft, but that is dry as a bone. So we want to make sure we put some good grease in that, and that way we'll be able to take our prop on and off. So we'll get the grease out now. All right, guys, whenever you're dealing with grease, it's always nice just to have some latex gloves just to put on. It helps the cleanup. It helps for making sure you're not touching things that you don't want greasy. So what we've got is we've got some Lucas marine grease. It's just a multi-purpose grease. And all we're gonna do is pop the top off. Just in there, we're just gonna grab and put some grease in on that spline. Doesn't have to be a lot, but we just want enough that it's fully coated so that that prop has something to sit up against. And just like that, a little bit goes a long way. And big reason for gloves is now we can put it back together and our hands are clean. All right, guys, so now we're back and we're gonna put our prop on. And as we can see on the inside of the prop, the splines, they're gonna be going in towards the motor. So when you take it off, so it rotates the right way, and you just slide it right back on, just like that. Make sure you put your washer back on, and then start your castle nut. Big thing is you want to make sure that that is tight enough, but not too tight. You want to be able to get your cotter pin back in. And these are a tight fit, but just like that, cotter pin's back in. Give her a little twist, and now it's not going to come off. The nut is not going to back off, and the prop will stay put. All right, now we'll get to going on to our next point of our grease points. All right, guys, when you get the engine, again, there's some grease in it, but not a lot, and it has some multiple grease points. As we can see, there's zerks in these two spots. So what we're going to do is put grease in those to make sure we have plenty in there and that everything's going to work the way it should. And what I did is I just went and bought a small little grease gun, and then there's a nice little 3-pack of Lucas grease. And we're going to use the marine grease today to lube our points on our engine. All right, so we got our grease gun ready, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave this one specifically for the boat. That way I don't have to worry about what grease is going into it. I'm just going to leave it specifically for that. They're cheap enough. You can get them at Walmart, Harbor Freight, any of your auto parts stores. And then we just kind of put it in there and start adding grease until all right, so we got the grease put in, and you just start pumping it in until it starts coming out. And I like just to kind of clean it up a little bit, especially if you're going to be traveling where there's any dust. You don't want that collecting on there. So now we will start getting the lower unit filled. All right, so now we're going to get started on the lower unit. And when you look at your engine, you'll see two screws here. Well, this first one is for the water. This one is for your upper oil. And then down here underneath is where your lower oil for your lower unit is. So we're going to get these screws taken off and we'll get to putting some oil in them. All right, so I bought this little kit from Walmart. It's for the lower unit. It comes with an adapter, so you can just kind of screw that right in to add your oil in, which makes it a lot handier than trying to fit it and get it to go. Of course, you're gonna, as everything, it likes to twist on you, but this will go in and make it a lot easier to add your fluid to your lower unit. Now, something to keep in mind is that when you take your plugs out, make sure you take your bottom one out first, because the top one puts a seal and it'll hold the oil into it. So if you take your top one out first and then try to take your bottom one out, there's a good chance you're going to lose all your oil. As you can see, it's already starting to come down the tube a little bit. So then you just start pumping.
And what kind of oil are we using?
We're using 80-90. That is what is recommended. And you just kind of keep pumping until it starts coming out that top hole. So it may take you a couple of minutes, but well worth it to have all the oil in there that you need. Sometimes you got to let the air go a little bit. Like I said, it may take a few minutes. We'll come back when we get it all filled up.
Okay, and there we go. Came out the top.
Yep. So, just kind of clean that up. And we take our upper bolt, put that back in. Just like that, just hand tight. And then we can take our lower one out. Now be careful, you may get a little bit of oil that comes out, but you want to make sure you have your lower screw ready. And of course, again, the hose wants to twist. And I am by no means a professional at this, so forgive any of the errors or what may look like I don't know what I'm doing. Seeing that our oil just starts to leak out, but it's enough that we can get our bolt started back in there. Just like that. And there, just like that, our lower unit is filled. And always try to keep your work area clean, so I always like to try to wipe stuff up so when I grab a hold of it, it doesn't get grease all over me. All right, now we'll get to going on the engine break-in. All right, guys, we got the trash can full of water. We just pumped our bulb up, took about 8 pumps. So now we are going to see if it'll start. So we're going to pull the choke out, make sure it's in neutral. Okay, Okay, so as soon as it sputters like that, you just shut the choke off. Ooh,
So close.
3 pulls.
3 pulls.
All it took. Water coming out. So that means the impeller's working.
A little bit of smoke on first start.
On first start, and a lot of times it'll smoke right away, but then it will dissipate. As you can see, it's already a lot less smoke. So now it's just a break-in period, letting it run.
And how long is that?
The book recommends 8 hours. So we're gonna let her go for a while, and we'll come back to you when it's ready to put on the boat.